There is a trap that the most intelligent people fall into every single day, destroying their influence completely. It is the belief that if you are right, and if you have the facts, you can argue your way to victory. You think that logic is a sword that can cut through delusion. But in the world of power, logic is useless. When you argue with someone, even if you destroy their points with perfect facts, you do not win. You lose. You lose because you have offended their ego, triggered their defensiveness, and made them resent you silently. This is the 9th law of power. Win through your actions, never through argument. Today, we will dissect the psychology of why winning an argument is actually a Pyrrhic victory that costs you everything. We will analyze the neuroscience of the backfire effect, where proving someone wrong only makes them believe their lie harder. We will travel to Renaissance Florence to see how Michelangelo saved his masterpiece by pretending to agree with a fool. And we will look at the Roman engineer who was executed because he tried to use logic against a tyrant. By the end of this video, you will understand how to bypass the ego entirely and get exactly what you want without speaking. You will learn to demonstrate your power physically, leaving your opponents with no choice but to accept your reality. To understand the danger of words, we must look at the tragic story of Mucianus and the Roman engineer. Publius Crassus. Mucianus was a Roman general laying siege to a town, and he needed a battering ram to break the walls. He sent an order to his military engineer in Athens. "Send me the larger of the 2 ship masts you have in the yard." The engineer, who was an expert, looked at the request and realized immediately that the general was making a mistake. The larger mast was too heavy, too cumbersome, and would be impossible to transport quickly to the battlefield. The smaller mast was perfect. It was lighter, easier to maneuver, and structurally sound enough to break the gates. The engineer wanted to be helpful, so he argued. He argued with the messengers, explaining the physics and logistics. He disobeyed the order and sent the smaller mast, confident that once the general saw it, he would understand the logic. When the smaller mast arrived, Mucianus did not look at it and think, "Ah, what a smart engineer, he saved us time." He saw only one thing: insubordination. He saw a subordinate who thought he was smarter than his master. He ordered the engineer to be brought to him, stripped naked, and whipped to death in front of the troops. The engineer was right. He had the facts. He had the logic. But he died because he valued being right over being smart. This is the fatal flaw of the intellectual. They believe that truth is the highest currency in the world. In the realm of power, truth is secondary. The highest currency is the ego of the person above you. When you argue, you are implicitly saying, "I am smarter than you. I see things you do not see. You are wrong." Even if you are polite, the subtext is aggression. You are attacking their intelligence and their competence. Now, contrast the engineer's death with the brilliance of Michelangelo Buonarroti in 1502. Michelangelo had just finished carving the statue of David, arguably the greatest sculpture in human history. Piero Soderini, the mayor of Florence and Michelangelo's patron, came to inspect the work before it was unveiled. Soderini wanted to look like a connoisseur of art, so he looked at the statue and said, "The nose is too thick." Michelangelo knew the nose was perfect. He knew Soderini was standing directly under the statue, which distorted the perspective. He could have argued. He could have told Soderini to step back. He could have explained the geometry of the angle. If he had done that, Soderini would have felt foolish, and a powerful man who feels foolish becomes a dangerous enemy. Instead, Michelangelo acted. He grabbed a chisel and a handful of marble dust he had hidden on the scaffolding. He climbed up to the nose, and while pretending to tap lightly with the chisel, he let the marble dust fall from his hand. He didn't actually change the nose at all. He simply created the visual illusion of working on it. After a few minutes, he climbed down and asked Soderini, "Look at it now. Is it better?" Soderini looked at the unchanged nose and said, "Ah, yes. Now it is perfect. You have given it life." Michelangelo kept his artistic integrity. He kept the nose exactly as he wanted, and he made his patron feel smart. He won through action. He validated the master's ego while completely ignoring the master's opinion. Why is this so difficult for us to do? Why do we feel this burning compulsion to correct people when they are wrong? The answer lies in our own insecurity. We argue because we need to validate our own intelligence and status. When someone disagrees with us, our brain perceives it as a threat to our identity, triggering a fight-or-flight response. Neuroscience calls this the backfire effect. When your deepest beliefs are challenged, contradictory evidence strengthens them. If you try to use facts to change a person's political or religious opinion, they will not listen. They will dig in. Their brain releases cortisol, the stress hormone, which shuts down the prefrontal cortex, the part responsible for logic. You are literally arguing with a brick wall that has anxiety. Words will never penetrate that defense mechanism. The only way to bypass this biological firewall is to stop speaking and start demonstrating. Demonstration bypasses the critical mind because it is presented as reality, not as an opinion to be debated. When you argue, you are asking for permission to be right. When you act, you are declaring what is right. Consider the geopolitical strategy of Nikita Khrushchev during the Cuban Missile Crisis negotiations. Words were failing. Diplomacy was stalling. The Americans were debating intentions and capabilities endlessly. Khrushchev didn't just send a letter. He sent a convoy of ships carrying nuclear missiles across the Atlantic Ocean. The action forced the issue. It changed the landscape. Kennedy could not argue with the ships. He had to react to them. In your daily life, the stakes are lower, but the psychology is identical. Think about the office environment. You have a colleague who insists on using an inefficient, outdated method. You argue with him, you show him spreadsheets, you cite industry standards. He resists you at every step. He resists because admitting you are right means admitting he has been wasting his time for years. Stop arguing. Do the project your way. Finish it in half the time. Present the results. When he sees the result, he cannot debate it. The evidence is staring him in the face. Or consider a relationship dynamic. Your partner is worried about something irrational, perhaps safety or finances. Telling them, you are wrong to worry, validates nothing, and only proves you don't understand their emotions. Don't argue about safety. Lock the door in front of them. Don't argue about money. Show them the savings account. Physical actions calm the limbic system in a way that words never can. There is a specific variation of this law called the mirror strategy, used by therapists and negotiators. When someone is shouting or being unreasonable, do not shout back and do not use logic to calm them down. Simply hold a mirror to their behavior by remaining deadly calm and silent, or by repeating their words back to them. Your lack of reaction is an action. It demonstrates that their chaos has no effect on your stability. Eventually, they will exhaust themselves. They will realize they are fighting a ghost, and they will stop. This is the ultimate power move, to win the argument by refusing to participate in it. However, there is a nuance to Law 9 that you must master, the concept of symbolic action. Sometimes you cannot demonstrate the full result immediately, so you must create a symbol that represents your victory. When Alexander the Great landed on the shores of Asia to conquer Persia, his generals were terrified of the odds. Alexander did not give a speech about courage. He didn't debate the strategy. He threw his spear into the sand. He declared that the land was spear won and belonged to him by right of the gods. That single physical act did more to motivate his army than hours of rhetorical logic could have achieved. It shifted the frame. They were no longer invaders hoping to survive. They were owners claiming their property. You must learn to use symbols. If you want to be taken seriously, dress seriously. That is a visual argument. If you want to show you are organized, have a pristine desk. That is a visual argument. People believe what they see. They doubt what they hear. Words are cheap. Visuals are expensive. There is also a defensive application of this law. Protecting yourself from those who try to bait you into arguments. Manipulators love to drag you into verbal debates because it levels the playing field. If a fool can get a wise man to argue with him, the fool has won because he has brought the wise man down to his level. They will use baiting statements, deliberately wrong or offensive, just to trigger your need to correct them. Recognize this trap. When you feel that urge to set the record straight, stop, take a breath, look at them with a slight smile, say, "That's an interesting perspective," and move on. This creates a starvation loop. You are starving them of the emotional reaction they crave. Your silence is louder than your logic. It signals that their opinion is beneath your notice. Let's analyze the cost of arguing in a negotiation. When you list all the reasons why your price is fair, you sound defensive. You sound like you are pleading. But look at the market. Look at my costs. Look at the quality. You are trying to convince them. High-status negotiators do not convince. They state their price, and then they shut up. They slide the contract across the table. They start packing their bag. These are actions. The action of packing your bag signals, I am willing to walk away, which is the strongest argument in the world. Never explain yourself more than once. The first time is information. The second time is weakness. If you have to explain your authority, you do not have it. Consider the show, don't tell rule in storytelling. It applies to your life. Don't tell people you are trustworthy. Keep your promises. Don't tell people you are smart. Solve the problem. The most dangerous enemies are the ones who nod and agree with you while plotting their own course. Be that enemy. Let others talk. Let them reveal their plans, their insecurities, and their strategies. While they are busy winning the verbal battle, you are busy winning the war through maneuver and execution. Imagine you are building a house. Your neighbor stands at the fence and yells that your foundation is wrong. You can stop building and argue with him for 3 hours, drawing diagrams in the dirt. Or you can keep pouring the concrete. At the end of the day, you have a foundation, and he has a sore throat. The energy you spend on arguing is energy stolen from your creation. It is a resource leak. Successful people are hoarders of their own energy. They do not spend it on people who do not matter. You must also understand that words can be interpreted in 100 different ways, but actions are universal. A contract can be debated by lawyers for years. A payment sent to a bank account is a fact. Focus on the binary reality of the world. Did it happen, or did it not? Everything else is just noise, interpretation, and emotional fluff designed to distract you. There is a famous story of a Zen master. A student asked him, "What is the truth?" The master did not speak. He pointed a finger at the moon. The student looked at the finger. The master slapped him and said, "Do not look at the finger, look at the moon." Arguments are the finger, results are the moon. Most people spend their lives staring at the finger. Start today. Pick one area of your life where you constantly feel the need to explain yourself. Maybe it is your diet. Maybe it is your career choice. Maybe it is your boundaries with family. Stop explaining. Just do it. When they criticize you, do not defend. Continue doing it. Eventually, the results will silence them, or they will leave. Either way, you win. If you are a leader, this is doubly important. Your team watches your feet, not your mouth. If you preach punctuality but arrive late, you have lost. Your action has vetoed your argument. If you preach innovation but punish failure, you have lost. Your action has revealed the truth. You cannot talk your way out of a reality you behaved your way into. The ultimate level of this law is the God's eye view. When you stop arguing, you detach. You float above the chaos. You see people as predictable mechanisms. You see that he is shouting because he is afraid. You see that she is criticizing because she is envious. You don't need to correct the machine. You just need to operate it or dismantle it. This detachment gives you the apex mindset. You are no longer a participant in the drama. You are the director. You move the pieces. You change the lighting. You rewrite the script through your actions. Remember the engineer who died. He was right, but he was dead. Do not be the dead engineer. Be Michelangelo. Let the fool think he changed the nose. Let the boss think it was his idea. Let the partner think they won the debate. Who cares who gets the credit? Who cares who won the conversation? The only thing that matters is who controls the outcome. Win through your actions, never through argument. Because in the end, history does not record the speeches of the losers. It records the deeds of the winners.